The officer observed the defendant speaking to two other individuals and conducting a hand-to-hand transaction. The officer stopped his vehicle near the defendant, and when the defendant saw the officer, he started leaving on his bicycle. The officer began to follow the defendant, and the defendant actively avoided the officer by changing directions frequently. The officer stopped the car and told the defendant to stop. The defendant continued to flee until losing his balance on his bike, and the defendant stated he did try to flee because he had an active parole warrant. So,
what was he doing wrong?
The officer observed what appeared to be a hand-to-hand narcotics transaction.
Okay. Was the other person doing it? Did he do it? Did they find any dope?
Probably they found any dope, but what they did observe was him on his bike and stopping with someone else.
And didn't even notify himself as police. You know, one of the conditions on an evading arrest is you have to notify that you're a police officer. You can't just yell stop.
Right, let me see the DIMs.
Sure.
I do have that the officer was riding in a marked patrol vehicle as he was following the defendant. So there is that, as well as.
Does that imply?
My client was on a bicycle. He was riding a bike.
And that's when they were following him in the marked patrol vehicle while he was on his bicycle, and then yelling at him to stop.
Did they find any evidence of a narcotics transaction? They obviously didn't find him with any dope. Did they find him with like a large cash? And then let's look at the statute. What is your argument?
Well, my argument is that he was just riding his bike. In the DIMS, it does say, and I quote, I just lost it. The defendant looked at me and attempted to flee. I don't know how you attempt to flee.
Well, I guess just go the other way from him.
That's fleeing, though.
And then it says in the DIMS as well that the officer observed the defendant look at the marked patrol vehicle and then change directions as he viewed.
You know how many people do that? You know how many people just look at a police car? I do it too.
Yes, Your Honor.
He's also riding
here too.
He's riding a bicycle. He needs to pay attention to traffic.
And Your Honor, the only thing is that took place after what appeared to be a hand-to-hand narcotics transaction. That's what the officer wrote in the DIMS.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. All right.
Yes,
No
Judge.
problem.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
The officer made the connection. He said in the DIMS, due to my training experience, I know being grabbed and bruises being left on your body causes pain.
A judge faced a critical decision when a defense attorney challenged probable cause in a 2024 assault case, pointing to a complainant's affidavit that raised doubts about an officer's claims. According to Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 18.01b, a warrant affidavit must contain sufficient facts to establish probable cause, and misstatements can render it invalid. The complainant's statement that she did not feel pain at the time of the incident cast a shadow over the officer's assumptions, setting the stage for a pivotal ruling.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Palms, I'm just...
The affidavit in that she said she didn't feel pain.
I don't know. All I know
I'm
is
telling
that...
you, that's why I'm up here challenging the PC on that one. There's an affidavit, a complaint that's provided.
There's an affidavit. Because in the DIMS...
Hey, this is gone corral? This is a new case, right?
It's a complaint, so it happened in October 2024.
How did it get an affidavit here so quick?
Because it's a complaint. The officer's affidavit on the complaint. He states that she stated she didn't feel any pain because she was fighting him as well.
But you said that you did feel. You did feel.
the complete DIMS.
I wouldn't, or that's the problem, is the DIMS is maybe contradicting or inaccurate or different from the affidavit that I'm talking about, that the officer filed with the complaint.
So the complete DIMS reads, the complainant stated she did not feel pain at the time of the incident since she was fighting the defendant off of her, and that the officer observed the complainant shaking and crying, and the officer said, due to the training experience, I know being grabbed and bruises being left on your body causes pain. So according to the full DIMS, the complainant didn't say she felt pain. She said that she didn't feel pain at the time of the incident because she was fighting the defendant off of her. And that's what the full DIMS states. And the officer, based on training experience, saw the bruises on her and being grabbed and squeezed and came to the conclusion that it caused pain.
It could also be the exact, that what she said was, I was shaking and crying because I was fighting him. She's the one that says that.
I mean, I get it. Like at the time, you're in the stress and excitement, so you're not feeling it. But then after
That's not what she said though, or that's not what
Stress.
they're going on.
Your Honor, the key thing the officer observed were the bruises on the complainant's arm. He observed the bruising and then came to the conclusion based on that. And what she told him, she did say that the defendant squeezed her arm. And based on that, her crying, shaking, and the bruising, he came to the conclusion that she felt pain due to that being squeezed.
I mean, taken as a totality, is that not sufficient for probable cause purposes?
I don't know, you have a sworn document where she says one of the elements is missing. And then everything else that he's adding is not in that
To
document.
be more specific, she's saying she did not feel pain at the time of the incident since you were fighting. She didn't say she didn't ever feel pain. She said at the time since she was fighting the defendant off of her.
But the officer,
That's not in that.
But the officer never asked, hey, do you feel pain? Why would
And
you
so the
ask?
officer never asked. He came to the conclusion based on totality.
Get it, but I don't know, I mean, I need to look up case law, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's enough. Because I mean, it's such a low standard for probable cause purposes, you know? I mean, I get that you're saying that it's not alleged the pain as an element, but taken as a totality,
I guess you're saying taking it as a totality, I'm saying that's a lot of speculation about stuff that's not in the DIMS or in the affidavit. Like you're making all these connections state.
But I'm making the officer made the connection. He said in the DIMS, due to my training experience, I know being grabbed and bruises being left on your body causes pain.
Right.
He made that
you
connection.
don't operate on hunches.
Right, and she's also stated that I was fighting him, so that could be because of her fighting.
I mean, here's the deal, like if I find no PC, right, they may just re-indict it though.
That's fine.
You know?
That's their.
Kelsey,
Yes, sir.
did you see what's going on? So in this case here, the officer never asks her, do you feel pain? He assumes she does just because of bruising on her arm. And because I guess they're in the stress of the excitement, so at the time she doesn't feel pain, but after a while, he assumes that she feels pain because of bruising on her arm.
And on body-worn camera, he never says, you don't know?
But I mean, this is a probable cause hearing, we haven't seen it. So he wants me to find no PC. If I do though, right,
Well, if there are physical injuries, we can go from there.
but he's saying that, you know, I mean, if it were like blood, like some kind of tearing of the skin, that's one thing. But bruising, is it possible to get a bruise without feeling pain?
Yeah, do
You
it
know?
all the time. If you fall downstairs and you're embarrassed more than in pain, you might be crying or shaking because you're embarrassed or excited, but it's not because of you injuring yourself down the stairs.
But Your Honor, that also ignores that she did say the squeeze itself. He mentioning a fall, but in this case, we do have a specific statement about a squeeze.
She doesn't say that she's in pain because of the squeeze.
So if we lay it out in front of a jury, you would always have that statement saying at the time she didn't feel pain. Whatever you said contradicting that, that's fine, but it would not take away that statement that eliminates an element.
That's what I'm saying.
So maybe a grand jury might find it different, but based on that DIMS, they have someone saying I didn't feel pain. I think that's kind of like,
And Your Honor, I will say at the time, we don't have the full OR, so if you want to find no PC, we can revisit it. If we want to re-indict it, we can.
Okay, all right, I'll find no PC.
The officer's affidavit leaned heavily on his observation of bruises and the complainant's emotional state, concluding pain was present despite her explicit denial. Under Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 18.01c, probable cause requires a substantial basis in evidence, not mere speculation. The judge scrutinized the officer's failure to ask the complainant if she felt pain. Noting that bruises alone don't inherently prove it, the defense argued this assumption was a leap, unsupported by the affidavit's core statement. By finding no probable cause, the judge upheld justice, protecting the defendant from an overzealous officer's hunch-driven narrative. Like and subscribe for more police cam stories. Watch the next recommended video. Click to watch now.